This is Karen with the Rugger's Edge. I'm really excited to bring you this webinar that is focused on helping students and parents who are attending a college fair event. So this can be a large college fair with many, many colleges represented. It could also just be a smaller event with just, a few college coaches who are attending to meet you. So it's really exciting to have these opportunities available for student athletes and families. I do know that often there are students out there who are a little bit nervous about what to expect, how to talk to coaches, and how it'll all happen. So this webinar is to help you prepare for that and also give you some tips on how to approach it so you get the best out of that event. Okay, so we are talking College Rugby Fair 101 today. Before I kind of dive into all of the nuts and bolts and special thanks, Arbor Bridge is my preferred test prep and tutoring company. So if you are looking for test preparation for upcoming standardized tests like the SAT, the ACT, subject tests, things like that, they are a wonderful company to work with. So I highly recommend you reach out to them for support on that. And then also special thanks to Rugby Athletic. They provide amazing athletic apparel and equipment for really all of your rugby needs. So if your team is looking for, kit bags, balls, promotional items, anything like that, please reach out to Rugby Athletic and they will take very good care of you. If you've never heard from me before, just a little bit about me. I'm a professional college consultant. I've been doing this since 2009. So this is what I do full time. It's what I, live and breathe. It's just rugby in college. So if you let me, I will talk to you about this for hours. So it's really fun for me to do this. You can see there a little bit of my rugby experience background. Most recently, I took on a new role as a World Rugby educator. So I've been going around the country teaching level 1 referee certification. So that's been extra fun for me as well. I live here in Colorado, and you can see there on the right, there's a picture of my family. So I've got a little girl. She's about 4.5. So we're excited. She will be hopefully starting to do some, flag rugby maybe in the next couple of years. About the Rugger's Edge, what we do, the main bulk of the work that we do is in individual college consulting and advising. So working with families just like yours, one-on-one, and helping them through this entire process. Of course, other things that I do are group seminars, so similar to this, either webinar style or in person, and then also some college rugby program consulting. So working with actual college programs and helping them figure out better processes for recruiting, ways to promote their programs and build the programs the way they would like. And of course, the thing I'm most proud of is obviously my students' successes. So this time of year is always really exciting because students are starting to get their acceptances, and I'm getting texts and phone calls and pictures, and it's always wonderful to see that little bit of being able to be a part of their journey to college rugby, and then obviously seeing them continue into college is super amazing for me. It's what keeps me going every single year. So hopefully I will get a chance to work with your family sometime soon as well. So here's our agenda, 2 pretty basic things. So we're going to get through a lot of stuff today, some college rugby basics, and then also the rugby fair do's and don'ts. Now with the college rugby basic piece, I'm just going to touch on a few things. If you are looking for a little more in-depth information about college rugby, please take a look at another webinar I have just called College Rugby 101. I'll include the link below on the YouTube page. So you can feel free to click there and look at the Rugger's Edge under under the online section. You should see all of the videos I have available, and you'll find College Rugby 101. And that is a more detailed, in-depth look at what the landscape looks like in US college rugby. All right, so overall, this is the college rugby landscape. So as of January 2020, these are the teams that are available to you and then in their respective divisions. Something for you to keep in mind as you approach this college fair event is, kind of having an understanding of what divisions there are, so that when you talk to a team and they say, what division do you play in? And they say D1 AA, you understand what that means, that doesn't mean NSCRO, or that doesn't mean Division 2, things like that. So it's good for you to be aware that on the men's side, you have D1A, D1 AA, D2, and NSCRO, National Small College. And on the women's side, you have D1 Elite, D1, D2, and NSCRO as well. So here are some examples of college teams. So as you are meeting some coaches and doing some more research on these programs, something for you to keep in mind is certainly don't focus on the division. What you may find is, year to year programs can move up or down depending on their financial situation, else is happening in their league and with other teams. A good question that might come up for you when you're talking to a coach is, what are some plans for the future? If you are in NSCRO now, are there thoughts about moving up? Or if you're UNAA, are there any thoughts of moving into another division? Finding out some of that information can be helpful for you as you are looking for colleges that are the right fit for you, and also the commitment level and the type of program that you're looking for. One extra thing of note that is a little bit different from all of the other programs that we listed is this small batch of NCAA women's programs. So these programs typically are not able to go to a college fair. Many times it's an NCAA compliance issue. So if you don't see them there, it doesn't mean they didn't want to be there. More likely they're just not actually allowed to be there. But if you are interested in any of these teams, you do have to follow NCAA rules, and you would have to follow the guidelines that are set forth through them. But it's worth it if you are a female athlete and you're interested in any of these programs, to take a look at what the NCAA, requires, what they allow, things like that, and to reach out to these coaches ahead of time to find out what their timeline looks like as well. Okay, so you're getting ready for a college fair event. So let's talk about some do's and don'ts. So number one, go to this event and be prepared. So, well, what does be prepared? What does that mean, right? So number one, research. And when I say research, I mean, prior to the event, you should be able to see on an event page all the colleges that are planning to be at the event. So I would look up each of those colleges that are coming. Take a look at their website, take a look at the rugby website, see what information you can gather. So the last thing you want to do is go up to a coach and say, oh, you know what, I'm interested in your school. How big is it? How many students go to your school? Something like that you could look up on your own. Do that on your own. Don't waste that coach's time. Ask them something that is really simple to find online. Do some of that research ahead of time, so when you talk to a coach, you are also educated about at least a little bit about what that school offers, where it's located. Is it in an urban setting? Is it in a rural setting? Things like that. You definitely look like a more a more true prospect if you seem like you're more prepared versus someone who's kind of like just walking around like, okay, yeah, hey, Penn State, yeah, so where's that? Like, is it close to me? Is it far from me? It's like you could have looked that up by yourself. If you can, come prepared with a rugby resume. If you don't already have one, go to ruggersedge.com and look for rugby resume or recruit resume. I forget which one. And then fill that out, and then have that available to hand over to a coach, while you're meeting them. Now, it serves you two purposes. I think it will promote you as looking like a really serious athlete, that you're prepared for this meeting, and also it's a good way for the coach to quickly, take a look at you, take a look at your resume, and say, oh, look, this is a really serious, proactive student. They brought the resume, and they can always follow up with you because look, they already have your contact info. So you make yourself a much easier recruit if you come prepared with that. If it's possible, typically more for a junior or above, if you can bring a copy of an unofficial transcript to attach to a resume, that can also be helpful. What it does, it just helps kind of verify whatever GPA you've noted on your resume. So oftentimes students will report on a resume, a 3.5 GPA, and then you see the unofficial transcript, which is what your high school will be reporting, and you see that it's different. Maybe you have a total, GPA of 3.5, but that's including classes like, PE or health. But once you take out those classes, maybe your GPA goes down to a 3.3. So what we want to know is really what your academic GPA is, and so we want to make sure it's verified on the resume and then also on the transcript. So dress appropriately. So these two pictures that you see in front of you, these are really good examples of student athletes that are dressed appropriately for an event to meet college coaches. So, this is definitely not an event where I expect anyone to show up in, their Sunday best or, like a suit and tie, right? We want you to be comfortable. I mean, you're going to be walking around and meeting, rugby people, but we do want you to look nice and neat. So, as much as possible, if you need to wear your school, kind of apparel, things like that, that is helpful as well, especially if you're going to an event where there's lots of students from multiple schools. It can help college coaches understand, oh, right, this is the student from, the Raiders, and then this is the other student from the Hawks, or whatever it is. So dressing appropriately will help you in many ways. Again, going back to making you look like a serious student athlete, I think what the first impression, puts onto the coach, I think carries a long way. Have an open mind. So, as you're researching what colleges will be at your event, have an open mind about it. You may see, let's say, 10 colleges will be there. There might be 3 or 4 you're like, well, I haven't heard about them before, so I'm not going to stop by their table. It is a really good idea to stop by every table, truly, and talk to the coaches. You might find that you're really surprised that, so and so university has a specific program that matches 100% what you want to study in the future. So please have an open mind. If you have time, go to every table. These coaches and reps are taking time out of their day because they want to build the rugby program, right? They're serious about that, and that's a big deal. So they're spending time out of their day to do this. It is helpful for you to also talk to them, learn about their program, as well as just get some practice. Especially if this is early in your rugby career, getting some practice talking to college coaches is really good. So it'll get you comfortable when it maybe matters more when you're a junior. So going along with have an open mind, ask questions. So you want to be engaged, you want to be positive, you want to be energetic. I mean, think about it, when you're meeting a new person, you are hoping that they seem interested in you, right? You don't want to meet someone and have them look sullen and looking around and, kind of looking around to see if there's a better table to go talk to, so whatever table you're in front of, ask some questions, be positive, be excited to be there, because the college coaches are also really excited to be there to meet you. In the next slide, we'll talk about some questions that you could ask, but just be prepared to be interested. And then the last piece here that I want to touch on is to make sure to follow up. So after the event is over, you've met all these coaches, you've given them the resume. I don't want you to go home and just sit back and say, great, hopefully these coaches contact me and recruit me. No, part of the college fair is when you're meeting these coaches, most of them will have a business card. Grab a business card or ask for their name and email, whatever you can to get their contact information so you can follow up. Typically, I'd recommend within about a week, send an email. Dear Coach Smith, it was so nice to meet you at the college fair at my high school. I'm really interested in your school because of the business program. I am class of 2021 and I'm actively looking for college programs now. I've attached my rugby resume again. Please let me know if you need anything more from me. So something like that where you can, touch base as soon as an event is over is really, really wonderful. I can't tell you how many college coaches tell me they meet players, they're really excited about them, and then they never hear from them again. So you need to be an active participant in this process. So following up is a really key part of that. So here are just some ideas for questions to ask. Now, you can ask any question you want that is important to your choice of a college program, but here are just some ideas of questions I find that are important when if I were to meet a college coach, I might want to ask some of these. One of the last questions for the college coach is, does your program host any upcoming summer camps or clinics? I mean, that might be a really good one. Let's say you do meet a college and you're really excited about them. You might want to ask if there's anything coming up. Are there events? Are there games? Are there summer camps? And then you can jot those down and then make sure that you're aware of when the registration opens and things like that, if that's also a part of their recruitment process. If it ends up not being a college coach, which some events might have, it might be a current player or it could be an alumni player. Those are actually really wonderful people to talk to. They might give you a different perspective than you would get from a college coach. Sometimes a college coach is not on campus full time, so they are not as well aware as what that school atmosphere might be like, what it's really like to be a student athlete. So here are just some examples of questions that you can ask current players and recent alumni, what it was like for them to be a student athlete on that campus. So here are some college fair don'ts. So don't be late. So most of these events, only probably take a couple hours. So the last thing you want to do is, if there's a ton of colleges that you could go around and meet and talk to, you don't want to come late and then miss your chance of talking to someone who might end up being a really wonderful fit for you. So look up those details beforehand. Look at the event page. Look at the address, look at the start times, make sure you have a plan. If the event starts at 2, I want you to be there at 1:45. And this is actually for any rugby event, but if you're there on time, you're already late. So get there 15 minutes early. This allows you to, make sure you have a good place to park, that what building it needs to be in. A lot of times these events are, maybe on a college campus or it's at a high school you've never been to. You got to make your way, from the front entrance to like building J, and you don't know where that is. So just make sure you give yourself enough time to get there and get yourself situated, and you're not overstressed by the time you do talk to a college coach or a college rep. Don't be nervous. So you're going to, meet some awesome people that want to talk to you about rugby, and you guys both already share something in common, which is rugby and how much you love it and that you want to keep playing. So even if you're a little bit nervous, it's okay. You should also know that most college coaches, they're also nervous too. This is, for many of them, they know that you're looking to see where you're going to go, and they want to sell their program to you, so they might be a little nervous too. So it's kind of a understood thing. So don't worry about it. It's definitely should be a fun and enjoyable experience for everyone. Don't be unprofessional. So, if you look at the right, please don't show up at the college event like this, and just kind of what you rolled out of bed in, have your earphones in, looking at your phone, the whole time. I mean, you want to be professional. You're essentially applying for a job. So you want to be as professional as possible when you talk to coaches, even if you know them from other events. Hi, Coach Smith. I'm sure, it's nice to see you again. Remember, I'm Susie Smith. I play for the Hawks, et cetera, et cetera. So continue with the relationship, as if, you are hopefully going to be in a professional relationship, that you're not friends. You can be friendly, but, you guys are not buddies that you can just text back and forth, anything like that. So any kind of communication style you normally do with your buddies, you're not doing that with a college coach. Okay. Don't let your parents do all the talking. So, often I go to these events and sometimes I'll see a student sitting down and I'll see mom and dad walking around talking to coaches and talking to reps and gathering all the materials and things like that. That is not the way we want you to approach these types of events. So parents, you're obviously involved in the process, but please try to take a back seat. Let your student, lead the way. Let your student ask the questions, take, the materials, things like that. You can definitely sit in the background and ask a question or two at the end, but try to let your student also practice talking to these college coaches. And last bit of don'ts, don't think it's too early. So often I talk to parents and they're like, oh yeah, I heard about that event, but my student's only in grade 10. This is too early to start doing this. But it's not. It's never too early. I really think any time in grade 9 on is a really good time to go to events like this to explore. If anything, if they're not actively going to be, looking at recruitment, it's still really good, I think, for the younger student athletes to see all the options, and that for them to realistically picture themselves moving on past high school rugby and saying, look, I can play college rugby because look, there's a few teams here that I think would be a really great fit for me. So, kind of getting a sense of what's going to be a good fit, what do they like, what do they don't like. Those are all really good kind of separate things that you're going to get from going to an event, even if they're on the younger side. If you are looking for some more information, please take a look at some of the resources I have available. So the Ruggers Edge Playbook 2020 is just out. I actually just got them in from the printers today. I'm really excited. So this is our 6th edition college playbook. It goes over really everything you would need if you're going to go through this process on your own. It's a workbook meant for students and parents to work through together. So that is available online. If you go to ruggersedge.com and you click resources, the first drop down is going to be the playbook. Some other resources I recommend, really any college search book can be helpful. The FIS Guide to Colleges 2020, I think, is a wonderful one. You can also start doing some searches through collegeboard.org, use their search colleges function. And if you are, starting to get into standardized testing, I don't really talk about it in this webinar, but certainly please take a look at all the free test prep options that are available to you. ACT Academy is for ACT, obviously, and the Khan Academy is for SAT, and that is all available online. The testing piece is such a big part of, kind of the rugby recruitment process and just the overall college process. So please make sure you take that part seriously and take that to heart. And then connect with us. So we've got a newsletter, a Facebook page, and also a Twitter account. So we can, make sure to share out as much information as possible through those platforms, and let us help you. So if you're in the, kind of deep into this process and you're getting confused and you'd like someone to help you through it, please let me know if you'd like to schedule a free 30-minute call. It's a good chance for me to learn more about your family, learn about your goals, and then I can share how I work with families and see if it's a fit for what you're looking for. And this is how you get a hold of me. So there's my email address, just info@ruggersedge.com. My phone number is there as well. And of course, at the very bottom, you can see a note there. If you want, go ahead and email me. I can send you a copy of this PowerPoint if you would like a copy, so you can take a look at it in your own free time. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. Again, have so much fun at your upcoming event. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much.